You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
All right, everybody, and welcome to this week's REI Marketing Nerds podcast. As always, this is Daniel Barrett here from AdWordsNerds.com. How are you? I hope you are having an awesome week. This week, we are getting into an interview with Devin Williams. Now, if you haven't heard of Devin, that's because he is a brand new investor. I did not know this when I first started talking with him, but he got started with investing in 2019. And the amazing thing about Devin is that he has focused on execution and really getting out there, putting the pedal to the metal, and has closed 4 deals in his first 4 months as an investor. He's one of those people that really impresses me with his ability to focus and get things done. He's a really interesting dude. He's been using online marketing to the hilt to really make a change in his business. So without any further ado, please enjoy this interview with Devin Williams. All right, it's Daniel Barrett, and I'm here with Devin Williams. He's a real estate investor in the Roanoke, Virginia market, and you can find him over at vahousebuyers.net. Devin, welcome to the REI Marketing Nerds podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. And we will definitely be talking about how we know each other and got into all this in a little bit. But I always like to kind of take a step back and get a little bit of context for you. So why don't we start with the old chestnut? Yeah, how did you get involved in real estate investing? Like, what was your introduction to this weird world we are both part of?
My mother owned duplexes when I was growing up, and my first actual experience on my own was taking my primary residence when I moved away from Roanoke and renting that out. But I started reading and seeing online about the wholesaling, and I needed to do something that I could make money without a lot of money starting. And about the beginning of 2019, I took an online course, and that kind of got me started.
Well, so I didn't realize this was so recent. You got started this year in 2019?
2019, January. I just made up in my mind that I was going to get on it. I took actually where I learned about you from Matt Terrio. I took one of his courses, the free online course, and sort of that's what got me started.
That's awesome. And I love Matt. I think he's an excellent teacher, very, very good at what he does. What was your experience kind of jumping in via the kind of online course world? Because I think there are a lot of online courses for investing. I think a lot of people take them, but I think most people either don't finish or don't actually implement what they learn, right? I think the success rate on any online course tends to be pretty low because of that. So what was your experience kind of going into this in that kind of online space?
Yeah, man, I agree. Initially, I think how many options you have to choose from on which course to take is the first thing that probably will take you by, overwhelm you. Listening to this person and that person and finally trying to figure out which one to take was my biggest hurdle starting out. But I think it just depends on what you want to do. I mean, I didn't expect it to, some people it may expect for it to happen overnight, and I knew it wouldn't, or I figured that it wouldn't. And I'm just very dedicated on making changes in my life. I'm tired of working. I mean, I have a great job, but I wanted to sort of take control of my own finances, and I was very determined to do so.
So why don't you tell people a little bit about, like, what is your model right now? Are you wholesaling, you flipping, lease options? Like, what does your investing business look like today?
Okay. I mean, again, I started with just the money coming in from my job. So I didn't have a lot of money to purchase homes. So initially it's all wholesale, building capital. In doing that, I've gotten several good money partners on board within the past couple of months because of the deals that I've been putting out. So it is growing, and I have my first one, which I found through Google Ads. It was under $12,000. I found it. It's probably worth about 50. Needs about probably 15 to bring, but I'm going to keep that and I'm going to rent it. So I'm actually moving over. I've built enough capital now where I can sort of buy some things and hold on to them. But for the most part, I've been wholesaling.
All right, cool. And I know you mentioned Google Ads. So the way that we met each other was you came into, I think it was the Search, Click, Convert bootcamp that we ran. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So when did you decide that you wanted to do online marketing as one of your marketing channels? Because that's pretty early for you. Like, was that your first marketing for deals, or were you doing direct mail, or how did you start looking for deals?
Yeah, I started off with the, cold calling and bandit signs. And, again, I work a full-time job. And during this time, we had lost some people to retirement, and I'm working 12, 16 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. And, I sort of back at Matt, it's like either you're going to pay for your leads, either with sweat equity, getting out, hustling, hitting the streets, calling people, doing those types of things, or you're going to pay cash. You're going to pay money for it. I wasn't finding any success and I didn't have the time, really, is what I was finding. I was exhausted and trying to squeeze in an hour or two here and there, and it just wasn't working. So I guess in April, maybe March or April, I decided that I was going to have to just use money. I was just going to have to, put the money up and try to get leads that way. And I mean, it's the best decision I've made, because I just didn't have the time. So that was a pretty easy choice for me. Either I was probably not going to be successful, or I was going to, go ahead and invest in the future of what I wanted to do. So
what made you jump to online versus any other kind of marketing channel? Is that something like you have a background in, or was it just something that you saw some opportunity in?
No, I had no background at all, man. I'm telling you, I was listening to Matt Terrio's podcast. You were on there, and I looked at it and I said, well, let me give this a shot. I was looking at you. I tell you, I was trigger shy. I didn't pull the trigger for a while. I think I didn't even get in. I don't think I got in on the live version of that boot camp. I think you had actually already did the live version, and I came in afterwards. But I mean, it was just, of course, I'm nervous. It was a financial. I was putting up some money, and I was a little nervous and unsure if it would work. But eventually it's kind of like, I'm either going to do this and see if it works. And if it doesn't, okay. But if it does, then what have I got to lose really besides a little bit of money?
Yeah. So what was the experience like? Because, and you can be honest, it's just us here. No one can hear us talking.
Right. Dude, I enjoyed it, really, man. And I learned so much. I actually think that I learned enough where I could take this and then do it for a friend. And I've actually been like, man, let me help you do this. We can set it up. I mean, of course, in different arenas. I wouldn't bring anybody in doing real estate. But like I have friends that do construction and things like that and clean up for homes. Just learning. I mean, you take the time, you make sure that we get it. You provide the information afterwards that I can go back to and look over again. And even though it was only, 3 days, some of the things you go over, like I'm just going back over the long term after 90 days when we go back in and look at it and try to optimize more.
Yeah.
So I mean, you set it up for success if you just do it. And I noticed that, I mean, even like you mentioned, as far as online courses, there were some where you were offering a prize for this or that, and they still hadn't set up, hadn't set their campaigns up yet. So, I mean, I jumped in and I set it up like you went over day one stuff. I set it up. We went over day two stuff, and and I went through those steps and set up the Facebook campaign as well. So, I mean, I just did what you told me to do, and I'm finding that it works very well. I'm averaging about 2 to 3 leads a week. I'm in a small market. I'm only spending $50. I think I'm at $56 a day. Rarely meet that. Sometimes, like yesterday, for some reason, I went to 112, which was baffling. I should ask about that, but things like that. And I'm getting 2 to 3 a week, very strong leads. And right now, of those leads that are filling out their information, right around 20% of them I'm getting under contract.
Wow, that's awesome. So let's talk about the results. So I know you've put some deals under contract. What were the results that you've gotten from that so far in terms of like actually impacting ROI and revenue for your business?
Oh, awesome. I'm closing on 3 this month. July is an awesome month for me. Now it's just trying to build that consistency up. And, moving back here is sort of moving back to Roanoke, because like I said, I was in Richmond and I'm moving back. So I think I've been a little timid and not really attacking like I was when I knew I had that job behind me, sort of a safety net.
Yeah.
So, but I've gotten back on it. My girlfriend actually is the one that pointed that out to me. Like, just do it. And I've been doing that, and I'm back on the ball. I'm actually sitting, waiting to go into a meeting with an investor as soon as we finish this. So things have been looking up. I mean, my company went. I had one deal my first 6 months that I actually closed on. That was in April. And like I said, I'm closing 3 in July.
That is super awesome, dude. I'm very happy for you.
Are you an investor who wants to dominate your local market? Do you want more leads and deals online? Then download your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint, absolutely free, at www.adwordsnerds.com/gift. What are you waiting for? Go to www.adwordsnerds.com/gift right now to get your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint.
Look, you said it. I think the key there is just executing. I mean, I think of a lot of the people that come through the boot camp, we have a lot of people come through and get deals, but I think you really focused on executing. You did everything right away. And that's a huge piece of it, right? Because, there's a million and one places to get information. Very few people actually put it in practice. And I think you see that with you even taking the free Matt Terrio course and like just doing, you know what I mean? Like just getting out there and actually putting the pedal to the metal. So I think you deserve a ton of credit for that. And
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So what would you say to somebody, not necessarily, I mean, we don't have to make this about working with me. There's a lot of ways for investors to get involved in online marketing. What would you say to an investor who's like kind of where you were on the fence? Maybe they're not sure they want to spend on leads, or they're not sure they're like super technically savvy. Like, what advice would you give to people in that situation?
I mean, I think anybody can do. I mean, the way you set it up is very easy. And like you said, not just about you, but if you're taking a course where, somebody who has some experience and knows what they're talking about and can explain it well, the setup part isn't, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm great on computers. I mean, I'm functional. I'd say I'm a moderate, as far as computer skills, no type of program or anything like that. And I didn't need that.
Right. But
But if you're on the fence, I think my first thing would be you do have to be able to afford it, because if it does cost I think you recommend being able to spend $50 a day. So you figure that to be $1,500 a month. So if you have to be in a position where you can afford to do that and not eating peanut butter crackers. And if you don't get a deal, then you've, crushed your company. You have to be able to put that money out and be okay putting it out. And if you don't get that deal right away, you're still fine and able to continue. But other than that, it's just, what do you want to do? I got tired of the phone calls to cold calling. It will wear you down. And you have to be tough on that one. And I guess that's something that I probably would have gotten more and tougher at, but it can be not heartbreaking, I guess I'd call it, but you get frustrated dealing with people that really don't want to talk to you to begin with. The thing that I love about this digital marketing is these people want to talk to you. They're reaching out to me. And I think that's why it's such a strong lead, because they've actually taken the time to fill out the questionnaire and click you on Google, and they're searching. They need you. So it's made it a lot easier. And I'm dealing with people who actually want to be dealt with. They're reaching out and they need a hand for whatever reason. So the lead I found is so much stronger than, my direct mail, where you're just sort of throwing them all out there and hoping to hit somebody. And then you get it, which I've also had some success with that. I just started that about 3 weeks ago. So I'm finding some success with it. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that the quality of lead is so much better.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people expect me to be like anti-direct mail or something like that, but I'm not. I think direct mail has worked for investors for decades for a reason, right? And I think, I'm a huge proponent of, and have talked on this podcast about this kind of Parthenon idea where you have multiple marketing channels going all at once. And I think that that's ultimately the most powerful thing you can do. So, I think that's awesome. Something that kind of jumped out at me when you were talking is that your close rate's actually very, very good. You said you're closing about 20% of your leads. That's great. Even for online leads, I think the average nationally is closer to 10%, something like that. So give me a sense of, how do you follow up with leads? And do you think there's anything special or may be impactful about the way that you approach your leads or talk to them that helps you close them into deals?
Well, I mean, number one is I don't care if I'm awake and it goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling them back, or I'm reaching out with a text, or I'm doing something at 2 in the morning. Because what I have found is if I get a conversion and I get the little message once they enter the information, and then I wait till morning, or I wait until whenever. These people are online looking. So if you don't reach out to them this is a right now culture. I mean, we do everything online. We want it instantaneously. So I found that even waiting a couple hours during the daytime can cost you. You'll never hear from them. They won't answer calls. They won't answer text backs. So that's the first thing is I'm immediate. I mean, if I get it, I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm trying to figure out what's going on immediately. And then after that, I think I do well on the phone with people. Like I'm not really an outgoing person, but when I'm on the phone, I've had some public speaking stuff and I've done things like that. So I think that I feel confident that I'm going to close the deal once I get them on the phone. That's just the way I feel personally. I don't have any question about it. It's like, if you want to sell your house, I'm going to be the one to buy it. And I think maybe that comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any, and I think it's because of the strength of, again, it's because they're reaching out to me. So they want my help. So that's the way I go into the call, is thinking that these people need my help. They're reaching out to me. So there's no reason for me to go in and hem and haw. And also, again, taking other courses. Matt Terrio's course has a million different things, and he shows, how to approach sellers and things that I need to ask. I follow scripts that I've gotten from those types of courses. And I'm not trying to just plug Matt, but that's the only thing I have to go by because that's who I use. So.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and to anybody listening to this, there's no affiliate thing with Matt or whatever. We're talking about Matt.
Right.
He helped you. I have experience with him, and is just very well regarded, super smart dude. So yeah, we're not plugging for that kind of stuff. We're just, right. That's the reality. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my reality. It's my truth. It's the only thing that I can tell you is what I could just say I got them offline, but that's what I did. I got, scripts certain questions that I ask, being upfront with them right away. Right. I found that helps. Look, giving them the option to say no. It's like, listen, if at any time you feel this isn't going to work, you let me know and I'll give you the same respect. And that way, that sort of gives them where they don't have to say, yeah. And they're not, because they feel obligated.
That's a big thing. I think there's a lot of anxiety that people have about getting on the phone with an investor because they feel like you're going to be in that situation like when you sign up for the free vacation and you've got to sit in the timeshare presentation or something, and they feel like they're not going to be able to get out of that situation. So you giving them, hey, here's an easy way to get out of here, that gives them that sense of control back, and ironically makes them more open to what you have to say. I think that's great.
Absolutely. I agree.
Something you said kind of struck me. You said you're not a very outgoing person. I was actually thinking while we're doing this podcast, you have a really good speaking voice. You've got kind of like a powerful tone to you. You speak in kind of like a very measured kind of way. So did you not used to be that way? You mentioned doing like public speaking or something. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I was actually in my area. I went through a program at the local Goodwill to sort of get me, I had some rough times coming up and I went through one of their programs, received some training through them and sort of got back on the right path that I needed to be on. And in doing that, won an award. They flew me and my then wife out to Austin, Texas, and spoke in front of a large group of people. And
wow.
And I would have occasional speaking, things here for breakfasts and, dinners or whatever. But I sort of had to get over that whole nervousness. And it got easier the more that I did it. I would just get up and speak. I guess that's all. No, but I've never taken what did I take instead of public speaking in college? I never even actually took it. I figured some way to take another class that wasn't public speaking. So even with my degree, I never took the public speaking class. So
well, yeah, I never did either, but I wish I had. I think it's such a valuable skill, and it's so undertaught. You know what I mean? It's really very powerful. It's funny. You mentioned kind of like speaking in front of people. And kind of like, some anxiety about that. And it just made me think like, wow, that must have made the cold calling like even more painful than normal. Because cold calling is pretty painful by default.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. It's just You make 10 phone calls and you may actually get to speak. I mean, half of the people aren't going to call because they're checking caller ID. They don't know the number. The other, you're going to just be like, you're going to get cussed out on one of those 10 for sure. And then, you may have a small conversation with, one or two of them. But I tried again. I went a lot of routes, but especially if you're doing the pre-foreclosures, I guess they're probably receiving calls from everybody because everybody has the same list. So, I mean, I just found that, cold calling just really wasn't for me. And when I do get to the point where we're doing that, I mean, I think that we'll grow and we'll have somebody, but it'll be paid. I would definitely pay somebody to do that. That's not something that I enjoy doing, nor do I care to do it.
No.
But I think it has its place, I guess.
Well, for sure. And I actually, not to misconstrue it, I think it can be very effective as a marketing channel. But you couldn't pay me enough money to make me cold call. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to pay me $1 million an hour to make you do it. But there are some people that love it. There are some people that love it. So, it's like anything else. You got to know your strengths. Wait, so what are your goals for the business? I mean, I think it's amazing to me because you're so new to this. You've made so much progress. You clearly have a knack for it. So what's your kind of end goal? Like, where do you want to take this? Where do you see yourself in a year or 5 years? What do you want to do with this investing business?
Well, I've set goals. The initial goal is to buy $1 million worth of property. And that's not hard. I mean, that's, $100,000 properties is fine buying it. And then, of course, the next is to actually own that property, own the $1 million. But I mean, now, once I close, it's going to give me, like I said, I only have the one deal. So I'm still working off pretty much my money. So when I close these 3 in July, then the company will actually have some profit. And then one thing I'll do is come back to you guys, not to plug you or anything else, but I need to tighten up my SEO. I want my organic traffic to increase. So that's my next goal is to, and I did look through some of and that actually is not going to be for me. Like I would rather pay to have that done than to actually go through and do it myself. So that's going to be something that I'm willing to pay to have done and just expand markets. I'm right here in Roanoke and I already have everything set up for Richmond. I've actually been talking to a guy who wants to get in. I've been trying to figure out how to bring him in after I've put in all the work and initial money and sort of make it fair for everybody involved. But he's there and he's interested in getting those leads. So, that's it. I've got Charlottesville here where UVA is. And, so those are probably my, within the next year or so when I close on more deals and I'm able to expand and do more of the digital marketing in those markets.
Awesome. Yeah, man. I think SEO is huge. That's such a big kind of force multiplier for anybody that's already doing deals. So we could definitely help you with that. But, the other cool thing is that because you've gone through the Search, Click, Convert bootcamp, you could take that skill set and apply it to any market that you want. And you don't have to come back to us. You don't have to pay someone to do that unless you want to. So I think that's really, really powerful. Well, hey man, this has been fascinating. And I think you are going to be a real inspiration to everybody that's kind of like, they want to get started investing. They're kind of like timidly tapping their foot on the gas pedal, like not really sure they want to commit to it. So I think you're a big inspiration to those folks. If people want to find out more about you or they want to see what your investing business is doing, where can they find you online?
I'm on Facebook. My name's Devin Williams. That's my personal, but I do have one for VirginiaHouseBuyers.net. I have a page for that. VirginiaHouseBuyers.net is my website where they can also find. And I usually we'll put a couple posts out, and of course the properties that I have under contract for sale for all those investors out there that may be looking for something in Virginia.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's where to find me. And there's a way to contact. All my contact information is there. So if you reach out, I'll definitely. I'm very responsive, and I get back with you quickly. So
all right, awesome. So so if you're looking for Devin on Facebook, that's Devin Williams. And Devin's, correct me if I'm wrong, is spelled Devin, right?
Correct.
And then you definitely look at Devin's website at vahouseBuyers.net. Devin Williams, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This was great. And I really, really appreciate it. And I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thanks a lot, Dan. I really appreciate you having me, bud.
Yeah. Cheers, man. That's it for my interview with Devin Williams. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Man, what an interesting dude. And I am just so happy to have been a part of his journey. It's always really gratifying when I hear people coming through one of our coaching programs and having success. And if you are at all curious about what we've got. We've got done for you services and coaching services going full speed ahead. You can find out more about us at AdWordsNerds.com. That's AWORDS nerds.com. And you can find show notes for this episode if you click on the podcast link there. You can find this episode and find the links to Devin's website and more. I hope you're having an awesome rest of your week, and I will be talking to you soon. This is Dan Barrett signing off.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.